Did you know a war once lasted just 38 minutes? Or that an eruption in Indonesia was so powerful it changed the global climate for years? History is full of mind-blowing events like these that most people have never even heard of. History tends to focus on the same big events: wars, revolutions, and famous leaders. But for every well-known moment, there are countless hidden stories that are equally astonishing. Imagine a world where 70,000 people vanish overnight, or an island where bunnies cause complete chaos. These forgotten or overlooked moments are more than just bizarre trivia. They shape the world in ways we're still feeling today. In this video, we're diving into the most insane historical events you never knew happened. By the end, you'll see why these stories deserve a spotlight in history books everywhere. So, why haven't you heard of these events before? The answer lies in the way history is recorded and taught. Most history textbooks focus on major political shifts, famous figures, or wars with clear winners and losers. Meanwhile, smaller, stranger stories get left behind, often because they're harder to fit into neat narratives. Think about it. How many of us learned about the Black Death but not the Dancing Plague, where people literally dance themselves to death? There's also a bias in whose stories get told. Events from smaller nations or lesser-known cultures often get overshadowed by the dominant powers of their time. As a result, these incredible moments are left in the shadows, waiting for curious minds like ours to dig them up. Let's start with the Anglo-Zanzibar War, the shortest war in history. In 1896, after the Sultan of Zanzibar died, his successor wasn't exactly on friendly terms with the British. When negotiations failed, the British gave an ultimatum: surrender or face war. The Sultan refused, and within 38 minutes of shelling from British ships, his forces surrendered. Just like that, it was over. A war shorter than your lunch break. Next, there's the year without a summer in 1816. A massive volcanic eruption in Indonesia, Mount Tambora, spewed so much ash into the atmosphere that it blocked sunlight, dropping temperatures worldwide. Crops failed, famine spread, and people froze in June. It was so bleak that Mary Shelley spent that year indoors writing Frankenstein. And how about the Great Emu War in Australia? In 1932, farmers were struggling with a plague of emus eating their crops. The government sent soldiers armed with machine guns to deal with the giant birds. The result? The emus won. They outsmarted the humans, dodged bullets, and continued their feathery reign of terror. But let's go even deeper. Did you know about the Tanganika laughter epidemic in 1962? It started as a harmless joke in a school in modern-day Tanzania, but spiraled into uncontrollable laughter, affecting over 1,000 people. Schools were shut down, villages were paralyzed, and even today, no one fully understands what caused it. Stress, mass hysteria, or something else entirely. Then there's the tragedy of the Vanishing Island. In 1813, Bermeja Island off the coast of Mexico appeared on maps and naval charts. But by the mid-19th century, it was gone without a trace. Did it sink due to an earthquake? Was it a cartographic error? Or, as some conspiracies suggest, was it deliberately destroyed for political reasons? It remains a mystery to this day. Have you ever heard of the Tulip Mania of the 17th century? In the Netherlands, tulip bulbs became so valuable that a single bulb could be worth as much as a house. People traded fortunes for rare tulips, and the frenzy eventually led to a market crash. It's considered one of the earliest examples of a financial bubble, a cautionary tale about speculation and greed. Or the Boston Molasses flood of 1919. A giant storage tank in Boston burst, sending 2.3 million gallons of molasses rushing through the streets. The wave was 25 feet high, moving at 35 miles per hour, and it destroyed buildings, drowned horses, and killed 21 people. To this day, locals claim you can still smell molasses on a hot day. And finally, there's the forgotten story of the Dancing Plague of 1518 in Strasbourg, France. It began with a single woman dancing uncontrollably in the street. Within weeks, dozens of people joined her, unable to stop. Some danced until they collapsed from exhaustion or even died. Historians believe it was caused by mass hysteria or ergot poisoning, a toxic fungus found in bread. Either way, it's one of the strangest events in history. But these stories weren't all quirky and amusing. Take the year without a summer, for example. For millions of people, it meant starvation and hardship on a scale they couldn't have imagined. Entire families had to abandon their homes in search of food, leading to widespread migrations and societal strain. Or consider the fallout of the Anglo-Zanzibar War. While it seems comically short, it highlighted the vast power imbalance between colonial forces and local rulers. For the people of Zanzibar, it wasn't just a brief skirmish. It was a clear signal of their vulnerability to foreign domination. And the Boston Molasses flood? Beyond the initial destruction, it exposed poor industrial practices and weak government oversight, leading to stricter regulations on infrastructure safety. The dancing plague, meanwhile, was a symptom of deeper societal issues, including extreme stress and fear in a time of poverty and disease. These challenges reveal how even the most bizarre events can have profound human consequences. Despite these challenges, each event left a lasting impact. The Anglo-Zanzibar War became a cautionary tale about colonial hubris, while the year without a summer spurred advancements in agriculture and weather forecasting to better prepare for climate disruptions. The Tulip Mania influenced modern economic theories about market bubbles. The Boston Molasses flood prompted reforms in industrial safety, and the dancing plague remains a chilling reminder of how stress and fear can manifest in unexpected ways. These stories, though often forgotten, remind us of humanity's resilience and the lessons we've learned from even the strangest chapters in our history. History isn't just about kings and battles. It's about the unexpected, the quirky, and the insane moments that make life unpredictable. Whether it's a 38-minute war, a volcanic eruption that froze the world, or a failed battle against emus, these events show us that history is far richer and weirder than we think. And here's the best part. These stories aren't just entertaining. They're lessons in resilience, creativity, and sometimes humility. So, next time you think history is boring, remember the emus, or the dancing plagues, or the summer that never came. If you're as fascinated by these stories as I am, make sure to subscribe or check out the next video for even more hidden history gems.